All right, in this video, we are going to work through another example. This is an example from the first part of Java where we are talking about classes and objects. So I just want to work through problem number 2 here as an example. And this is should give a little bit of review over how that stuff went back in the first part of Java, and then also just to illustrate how to do something like this in Eclipse. Okay, so I'm going to start a new project. So File, New, Java Project, and I'm going to call that Customer Project. And somehow I had unclicked use default location, so I want that clicked. Use default location, and then click next. Unclick this create module info.java file, and then click finish. All right, and I'm again making sure that my other projects are closed. Expand this customer project that I made, and so I am now ready to start making the classes that are going to go in there. So in this example, it says write a class called customer, right? And this is going to be like the class that stores all of the information for a particular customer. And then we're going to write this other class, test customer, and that is basically the class that's going to have the main method and use this other customer class. All right. So we're going to start on this customer class first. All right. So I'm going to go to source in my project, the source folder. I'm going to right click and go to new and then class. And then for the package, again, I am just going to use application, and then the name is customer. Again, make sure that you're following the Java conventions for naming things. All right, classes always start with uppercase letters. Okay, so this customer class again is just going to basically act as a container to bundle together a bunch of information, variables, and methods for that pertain to a customer. Okay, and so it will not have a main method. So I'm not going to click on the I don't want a main method created in this like I was doing in the previous videos. Okay, so, and that is it on this one. And so I'm going to click finish, and you can see that it generates my customer class for me. Okay, so now I want to go through and start adding the fields and the methods, okay, in here. So the class should contain 3 private fields, ID of type int, name of type string, and discount of type int, okay, and then get and set methods for each field. All right, so in Eclipse, right, if you're in your source code right here, if you right click when you're in the editor, you're going to get a big menu of different things that you could do. All right, and one of them is called source. All right, and then in source, you can see there's lots of different things that you can do. And so what this will do is to automate the typing of a lot of what's called boilerplate code. And that's code that's just kind of the same thing over and over again. Okay, and so this is very, very handy for kind of speeding up, some of the development in here. So some of the things you can see that you can do is, well, we haven't talked about that yet, but generate getters and setters. So those are get and set methods, right? And then generate a toString, and then generate a constructor using the fields, okay? And so, so that is very, very helpful, and you should definitely start using this. It will speed things up, okay? All right, so in here we have 3 private fields, ID of type int, name of type string, discount of type int. All right. So ID. So that would be private int ID. And then name, private string name. And discount is int. Private int discount. All right, so I've got my fields in there, right? And now that I have the fields in there, then what I can do is start adding some things in there pretty quickly with this source menu right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a constructor. All right, so generate constructor using fields. All right, and this will pop up, and we can see you can select some fields to have in your constructor, right? So by clicking or unclicking, I'm just going to go with all of these. Okay. All right, you can set the modifier for your constructor, which generally should be public. All right, so just hit generate, and you can see, boom, there's your constructor. All right. Even though this problem didn't ask for a constructor, right? Just wanted to show you how to do that. All right. Next up, it's asking for get and set methods. So again, once you have your fields in there, then you can generate those using the source menu. Generate getters and setters. And you can choose the set and get methods, right, that you want. And here I'm just going to choose for all of the fields. All right, and then hit generate, and boom, there they are. All right, so you can see that's a lot quicker than having to type those in yourself. All right, and then the last thing, even though the problem didn't ask for it, some of the things that we did last semester similar to this is to add a toString in there. So again, if we go to source and then generate toString, okay, we can select the fields that we want to include in the toString, which is usually all of them. And so that's what I'm going to do. Just hit generate, and there we go. All right, so you can see that speeds up these kinds of things that you have to do quickly. So I'm going to save it and look for any problems, right? And there's no problems here. Okay. All right, so that is this customer part done. All right, so next, write another class named testCustomer with a main method that creates two customer objects, sets the value of each field, and then displays information contained in the customer objects by using the get methods. Okay, so I'm going to go here to source, or actually if we can do it on application as well, and go new class. Now you can see when I right clicked on the package application, you can see it automatically added it to the package text field right here. And so that's something that we didn't have to go ahead and type in there. So this one's going to be called test customer. Make it public. And then on this one, we want a main method. So I'm going to click the checkbox next to the main method here. Click finish. Okay, and so now we are going to, let's see, create two customer objects, set the values of each field, and then display the information by using the get methods. Well, we'll probably just print it out since we have the toString in there. So all right, so we are going to create a customer object. Let's just call it C1. And they have an ID number, a name, and a discount that's an int. Okay, and then create a second. Customer object. All right, and then finally we want to just print those out. System.out.println C1. System.out.println C2. All right, run that, and you can see there's what we get. Okay. So hopefully you can see it's there is a lot more built into Eclipse than JGrasp. JGrasp, the upside of it is it's really simple to learn. You just there's not a lot of overhead into learning how to use it. But with Eclipse, there's some considerable amount of learning curve to it. But you can see it's pretty powerful. You can generate this code in a really short amount of time. All right, and so that is it on this example.